So let's talk about interior design. It can feel like this really complex, almost secret art form, right? Something that's just for the professionals. But what if I told you that's not true at all? What if it's really just a toolkit, a set of tools and rules that literally anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn to create a space they absolutely love? So let's dive in. You know that feeling. We have all been there. You're standing in a room, maybe it's totally empty, or maybe it's just a random collection of furniture that doesn't quite work, and you just feel stuck, completely overwhelmed, and that thought, where do I even begin? That's the thing that can stop a fantastic project dead in its tracks.
Well, here's the good news. Great design isn't some kind of magic. It really is a practical toolkit, one that's made up of some basic building blocks and a few key guiding principles. So today, we're going to unpack that whole toolkit together so you can go from feeling completely lost to feeling truly empowered to make a change.
Okay, part one, the 7 raw materials. First things first, let's look at the tools themselves. These are the 7 fundamental elements of design. The best way to think of them is like your raw materials. Your paint, your clay, your basic ingredients. These are the things you're working with in every single room, whether you realize it or not.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with space. It's the literal canvas for your design. You've got your positive space, which is all the stuff you put in the room, and then you have negative space, which is, well, the empty part. Cram too much stuff in there and it feels cluttered and stressful. Leave it too empty and it feels cold and stark. The real magic happens in finding that balance, creating flow for your eyes and your feet.
Next up, we have line. This is kind of cool. Every object in your room creates lines that subconsciously tell your eyes where to look and totally set the mood. Think about it. Long, horizontal lines, like on a low sofa or a wide dresser, make a space feel stable, grounded, and even more expansive. But then you bring in vertical lines from tall curtains or bookshelves, and bam! They draw your eye upward, creating this amazing sense of height and grandeur. Then there's form. This is just the actual 3D shape of everything in your room. And you can pretty much break it down into 2 types. You've got your geometric forms, things with hard angles like square tables and rectangular sofas. They bring a sense of order. And then you have organic forms, like a curvy armchair or a leafy plant. They feel much more natural and free-flowing. A really interesting room almost always has a mix of both.
Oh, lighting. This is a huge one, and honestly, it's so often overlooked. But lighting can completely transform a space. It's not just about seeing, it's about creating a feeling. The trick is to think in layers. You need general, ambient light for the whole room, focused task lighting for reading, and then that dramatic accent lighting to highlight your favorite piece of art. It's what turns a room into an atmosphere.
All right, now for the heavy hitter, color. Seriously, nothing else has the sheer power to change the feel of a space like color does. It can soothe you, it can energize you, it can even make a tiny room feel absolutely massive. It is pure psychology, and it's probably one of the most important decisions you're going to make.
Now look, you do not need to be a master artist to use color well, but just understanding the color wheel is a game changer. It all starts with the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Every other color is just a mix of these. Secondary colors are a mix of 2 primaries, and tertiary colors are a mix of a primary and a secondary. Just think of this as your little cheat sheet for creating color schemes that are guaranteed to work.
Texture is the secret ingredient. It's what makes a room feel rich, layered, and lived in. It's all about how things feel, or even just how they look like they would feel. Imagine a smooth leather sofa, a rough, nubby linen pillow, and a soft, velvety curtain all in one space. That contrast is what adds incredible depth and keeps a room from ever feeling flat or one-dimensional.
And our final raw material is pattern. This is the ultimate personality injector. Whether it's a bold geometric rug or a subtle floral wallpaper, patterns bring so much energy. They can also be the perfect thread to tie your whole color scheme together. Just a quick word of caution here. Be mindful of scale. A huge, bold pattern can totally overwhelm a small room, and a tiny, delicate one can get lost in a big space. Okay, part 2, the 7 guiding principles. So we've got our 7 tools. Now we need the instruction manual. And that's where these 7 guiding principles of design come in. These are the rules that tell us how to use all those elements to create a space that just feels right.
First up is balance. This is all about arranging your stuff so the visual weight in a room feels evenly distributed. Think about it. If all the big, heavy furniture is crammed into one corner, the whole room feels off-kilter, almost unsettling. A balanced room, though, feels calm, stable, and really intentional.
And balance really comes in 2 main flavors. You've got symmetrical balance, which is basically a perfect mirror image, like two identical lamps on either side of a sofa. This creates a very formal, orderly look. Then you've got asymmetrical balance. This is where you might balance a big sofa on one side with two smaller chairs on the other. It's not a mirror image, but it feels balanced, and it gives off a more casual, modern vibe.
Next up are unity and harmony. This is that wonderful feeling when you walk into a space and everything just clicks. It's a sense of cohesion, where all the individual pieces, the colors, the textures, the furniture styles, are all singing the same tune. Nothing feels random or out of place.
This room is a perfect example. Just look at it. The soft colors from the walls are picked up in the furnishings and then again in that beautiful rug. It's not about everything matching perfectly. It's about creating a conversation between all the pieces through a consistent style and palette. The end result is this incredibly unified and harmonious space.
Now this is a fun one. Rhythm. Yeah, just like in music, good design has a rhythm. It's the visual tempo you create by repeating an element, like a pop of color, a specific shape, or a texture, to gently lead the eye on a journey around the room. It's what makes a space feel fluid and connected, instead of just a random collection of things. Ever walked into a room and felt confused about where you're supposed to look? That room probably lacks emphasis or a focal point. This principle is all about creating one clear star of the show. It could be a dramatic fireplace, a stunning piece of art, or a bold, colorful sofa. That becomes the anchor for the entire room, and everything else should play a supporting role. Scale and proportion are basically two sides of the same coin, and it's all about getting the sizes right. You've definitely seen a scale problem before, a tiny rug floating like a postage stamp in a huge room, or a massive sofa crammed into a small den. You want to make sure your furniture not only fits the room, but also fits with each other, creating a picture that just feels right.
And this right here might just be the golden rule of all design: function. A room can be absolutely gorgeous, but if it doesn't work for how you actually live your life, it's a failure. It's that simple. Before you pick a single paint color, ask yourself, what do I need this room to do? Remember the famous phrase, form always follows function. It's the most important thing to keep in mind.
Okay, so that's all the theory. We've filled up our toolkit with the elements and we've read the instruction manual of principles. Now for the really fun part. Let's put it into practice with a couple of simple, actionable rules you can use, like today.
If picking out colors makes you nervous, this rule is about to become your new best friend. The 60-30-10 rule is a foolproof recipe for a balanced color scheme. Here's how it works. 60% of your space gets your main dominant color. That's usually your walls. 30% is for your secondary color, for things like furniture and curtains. And that leaves a fun 10% for an accent color. This is for your small accessories, like cushions or art. It just takes the guesswork right out of the equation.
And here's that function principle in action: space planning. When you're arranging your furniture, always think about traffic flow. Don't put a big sofa right in front of a doorway. As a rule of thumb, try to leave about 3 feet, that's 30 to 48 inches, for any major walkways. And here's the big one: direct traffic around your seating areas, not right through the middle of them. You want to encourage conversation, not have people constantly cutting through it.
So, after all this talk about rules and principles, I want to leave you with this. These are guidelines, not unbreakable laws. They're here to give you a solid foundation and the confidence to just get started. But ultimately, the very best designs, the rooms with the most soul, come from trusting your gut and creating a space that is a true reflection of you. So, with this designer's toolkit now officially in your hands, I want you to look at a room in your own home. What's the first principle you're going to put to use? Are you going to tackle balance, add some much-needed texture, or maybe just play with that 60-30-10 rule? The power to transform your space is all yours. Thanks for joining me.